Hello, friends. This is Scott. I'm in my home office in Salt Lake City, and I'm looking through a couple binders of old seeds that we got from the school garden. And yeah, these seeds are old. I'm not sure exactly how old they are, but I'm not sure how viable they are. So we're going to do some planting today. And mostly what we're going to plant is a lot of tomatoes, because I grow a lot of tomatoes at both my home garden and the school garden. I'm going to grow some asparagus for down at the hobby farm. And I've got some miscellaneous squashes and peppers and miscellaneous things I'm going to throw on in the trays. The reason this year that I could grow some seeds is because I got my grow lights back from the school garden. Now, they've been stored there for several years. They've not been used probably for 3 or 4 years. I used to have some help run the school garden for people that were at the garden every day or in the school every day so that they could water and make sure that the seedlings survived. So this will be my first attempt for many years at growing any seeds. And again, these seeds aren't very viable, probably, but we'll see how well they germinate. I'm just going to use some regular Miracle-Gro potting mix, and I just ran over to Home Depot and grabbed a couple of these little starter trays. And I have more in the garage, but I didn't know quite what I had, so I'm just going to grab whatever and get started. And the chickens are up here seeing what I'm all about. And we're out here, and just as the storm is rolling in, so I'm trying to get these few trays planted before the deluge starts. But again, I'm just using Miracle-Gro potting mix. I wish I could have had the capacity to make my own potting mix this year, but I didn't. So we'll just use the bag stuff and go ahead and fill these trays up. Now, this rack only holds 4 trays. I've got 3 trays here, and I've got a tray upstairs of lavender that my wife has planted. So I'll be bringing that one downstairs to put under the grow lights. I only have capacity for 4 trays on this rack. So one tray is going to be all tomatoes. Another tray is going to be all lavender. Another one's going to be asparagus. And I didn't plant those today because I had to soak the seeds. And the other tray is going to be a mixture of different types of squashes and peppers and maybe a little bit of eggplant. So again, these racks are great, but you can't grow a ton of stuff with these. There's 50 little units per one of these little trays. So there's literally 200 units of plants that you can grow under these lights. For filling and packing down the potting mix, I pull out the individual growing units, and I want to dump the container, the basin of any of the excess potting mix that I spilled, because I'm going to fill the water from the bottom, which I'll show you here in a minute. This lighting system has some sentimental value for me. I had a coworker approximately 15 to 18 years ago that was out minding his own business and riding his bicycle and got hit by a car and killed. And I bought this at his estate sale. I'm glad that my gardening dreams can still live on with this gentleman's memory. So I'm just filling up the second tray. And again, just simple process is just load the cells up by hand and then flatten it out. And I'll be pushing them down with my fingers. And then I'll be adding a little bit more soil, potting mix on top after I pack it down. So I want to make sure I have enough soil in each cell. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to be doing much transplanting from these cells. I'm just going to transplant them right into the ground. So I don't, I want to make sure I have enough soil in here and just to get the seeds a good start. And they should do well under the grow lights. Now, I'm not using any heat mats under these grow lights right now. I have one upstairs that we've got on using it for our ají amarillo peppers that my wife is growing under some different lights. But I need to get some more of the heat mats, because that's what really helps the seeds germinate more than light does. Light doesn't do much, although it does provide a little bit of warmth. But it's the seed mats that generally will get you your best results for germinating seeds. Well, we almost have 2 racks down, and I've got one more to go. I put that one on the trays, and let's fill this last one up. And again, the weather's starting to change. I'm starting to get some raindrops on me, so I've got to kind of hurry. I don't want my electrical system on this grow lights out here in the rain. So I was able to beat the storm. But yeah, the chickens, as you see, that's my sapphire gem right behind me. I got that from a client that sold her house and didn't have a home for chickens anymore, so that one came home with me. So here we are. We've got 3 trays. And again, the 4th tray will be lavender that I've got upstairs. And one of the trays will be asparagus, but I've got to soak the seed for a couple days. I'll be planting that later. Now, this is what I was talking about when I was watering the basins. I just push all the units to the side, the planting units, and then I just water down the side and fill the bottom up. because potting mix takes a while. It's hard to get it to absorb moisture, but once it's wet, it stays wet. So the best way to go is to do it the day before and fill up the trays and just let them soak up with water. And then after this, I'll only be watering probably from a spray bottle on top. So that's kind of the plan. And again, I'm putting quite a bit of water in these trays. I don't want to overload it, but yeah, I'll check them in the morning and just see how, if there's any water left in the trays. If there is, I might dump it out. But yeah, that's how much water I put in there. So that should soak up nicely. And again, I did all three that way. And then I'll be able to tell in the morning from the wetness of the soil. If there's any dry spots, I'll just water those again and water it from the top. So this tray is just going to be tomatoes, and I'm going to be notoriously bad about marking my tomatoes this year. I had plenty of different seeds of different varieties that I want to grow, from paste tomatoes to big boys to cherry tomatoes. So as I'm planting, I'm paying attention as to how many of kind of each one I'm growing. I want more of the big tomatoes, so I'm going to grow a full 10 little cells of the big boys. And then the others will be just a few cells here and there of the other types of tomatoes. And so, yeah, again, I'm not going to mark anything. I'm just going to plant, and hopefully I've got enough of everything that I need. And we'll see how the germination is, because, again, these seeds are old, and I don't know how well they'll do. So I'll show you a little bit at the end of the success that I did have after about 10 days. But it's definitely not 100% success, so I'll have to do a little replanting. And if I have to buy plants, I'll have to buy plants. That's just part of the process. But I hope I have enough to plant 30 tomatoes in the school garden. And then I am going to transition my home garden down to the hobby farm. So I want to plant at least 10 to 15 tomatoes down there of different varieties. So yeah, that's the plan. And I'm just going to fumble with these seeds and just fill up these trays. Again, there's 50 individual cells per one of those trays. So I can grow, 50 tomatoes out of here. And I am doubling up or tripling up on seed in each cell, because again, I don't know how viable these seeds are, and hopefully if I plant 3 in a cell, I'll at least get 1 to grow. And if I'm lucky, I can separate some of the plants from each cell if they grow more than 1. Or if I can't do that, I'll just snip them. I'll take the healthiest and let that one grow, and then once I know that they're going to live, then I'll prune out the other couple that are in the cells. We'll see how the germination goes. So here I'm planting, this tray here is going to be the squashes and miscellaneous squashes. I like winter squash. I never thought I'd like winter squash, but that's something that as an adult, I've really come to enjoy. And then I'm also going to plant some green peppers, bell peppers, and I'm going to plant, I don't have any hot pepper seeds, so I'm going to have to just buy those plants this year. But I have some eggplant too. So I'm going to try to grow enough of the basic stuff that I grow in the garden. The rest of the plants for the garden, I'll either direct seed or I'll buy plants at the nursery and put them in the ground that way. So yeah, this is only going to be part of the garden, but again, limited space on these grow racks. I'm going to finish off with a couple handfuls of potting mix just to make sure all the seeds are covered before I take this rack in the house, and I was able to beat the storm. And here we are inside. As soon as I start watering, the light goes out. So I'm thinking, oh, great. It's just like Christmas lights. But I was able to get them back going. It was just I had them plugged into a timer on the power strip. So got it all hooked into the always on mode and just water them in with a little spray bottle and get them nice and moist. And then I'll take the plastic trays and covers, and you see I'll fumble here a little bit, but yeah, some of these fit on certain trays and not on others, so I had one that was the wrong one. So this one is kind of interesting. It has two little vent areas. You can open it up and control the amount of moisture in there. I find that they generally they're over moist and you get a little bit of fungus going on, but I always use these to start the seed. Here's a look at how easy these lights are to adjust. It's just simply the weight of the light. It hooks into a little groove and just holds it in place. So yeah, you can put these at any height above the trays. And I am going to be a little bit high. I should have it a little bit lower, but I need to make sure these things are all wet before I drop them down any lower. But I want to have them probably 4 to 6 inches above the tray, and that's a little bit too high. But that's how they look all planted up, and before all the condensation from the lights happens. And we'll see how good our germination is, and we'll see how good this seed was that we've been storing at the school for many years. So here's a look 10 days later, approximately, and we have quite a few of the squash that have come up. You see a little bit of white fungus. It's a little bit too moist. So that the squash has done well. The seed's good. Here's the asparagus, and again, I soaked those seeds for 2 days, and they'll take a while to come up probably. My tomatoes, you'll see I had okay germination, but there's a lot of cells that nothing came up, so I'll be doing some replanting. And my wife's lavender tray has got some signs of life, but not a lot. There's a little bit of fungus going on, so I'm not sure how that was. May have to replant. So here's a look at another grow lights that we have upstairs that my wife has been using, and those are the ahi amarillos. And the other tray there was the lavender, so she was rotating back and forth before I got my big light set up. So those lights are not set up to do 2 trays, so I'm going to bring the lavender downstairs and leave the ahi amarillos upstairs, and they do have a heat mat. So about 10 days later, they look pretty good. So they're doing all right. So we have a few empty cells, but overall, we're looking pretty good for the ahi amarillos. So anyway, I'm glad to have my seed racks back, my starter lights, and we're going to use them. And hopefully over the years, we grow a lot of our own plants rather than having to buy them. Thanks for watching.